Spurs News Podcast, your home for all things Tottenham Hotspur. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of the Spurs News Podcast. I am Sam. Not joining me this week is Stephan. Unfortunately, I've had a note from his mum. Hang on a second, let me just get this open. Note says, Dear Sam and Spurs News listeners, sorry Stephan cannot be in today. He's got knob rot. Not quite sure what that is, but he's been playing with it too much. He's going to go blind. Yeah, okay, that's a lovely note. Thank you for that, Steph's mum. All joking aside, you ain't well. He's actually really not well, so get well soon, buddy. Because, you know, there's so much fun to talk about when it comes to Tottenham Hotspur. Can't believe he's missing this. It's awful. On a more serious note, the last show we did was just me, and I basically just kind of verbal diarrhea, if you like, just kind of gave all my thoughts on the De Zerbi appointment. It is disappointing to me, and I was in a mindset, and I was in a kind of what do I do, because it's like I'm not happy about that guy's views, and his non-apologies since really haven't done anything for me, but I'm a Tottenham fan. It is like a really weird headspace to be in. The messages I had from people after listening to the show kind of swung me in what I was going to do, because my general thought was I'm never not going to support the club and everything, but I can step away from being as active a fan and, you know, not paying for this, not paying for that, no longer putting money into the club, no longer putting the time and effort like podcasting and all the fan-based stuff that I do. But the interaction with people was actually the thing that kind of swung me back to he's going to be a chapter in the club's history, which is unavoidable now. I made my feelings clear. That's not changed, and I don't think that will change unless there is actually, from me, a real acknowledgement of what the problem was with what was said, and the thought behind that. But like I can't hold the world to my standards, and I can't, you know, it is exhausting as well to try and air these views and not feel like you're kind of holding back the tide of just waves of people telling you to shut the fuck up. So anyway, so what I've decided to do is I'm going to continue and try and make the best of the situations I possibly can, in terms of we are in the shit, like we are in deep shit. And so the podcast is going to continue. I'm still going to be here, you know, God willing, touch wood, and all the rest of it. And we're going to do what we can. There are now 6 games remaining. We are in the relegation zone. Things don't look good. But no matter what, whether, just like De Zerbi, no matter what happens, we'll still be here next season. So, with all of that said, and out of the way, like the admin bit, I am kind of delighted that, although Stephan couldn't make the show today, I reached out to probably one of the most prolific voices there is in the Spurs fan community right now, who is appearing on every podcast you can possibly imagine, and he's gracefully going to join us today as well, and that is Billie T of Twitter fame and TikTok now. So the rest of the show is going to be me chatting to Billie. I hope you all enjoy. Okay, so welcome to the show. Billie, how you doing, mate?
Hello, mate. I'm very good. Honoured to be talking to you today, and like every other Spurs fan, I'm pretty terrified at the moment, mate. How are you?
Terrified, yeah, kind of bewildered. It's a weird. I mean, I I tell you, mate, it's got to be funny because otherwise it's just really darkly depressing. So that's how
exactly.
I word it.
That's it.
But
If you can't laugh, you're in this situation, then you've got nothing, have you? So
exactly,
you've got to do something.
I mean, I'm not quite sure how similar in age we are. I'm 43 now, very old man.
I'm a little bit younger, but not much.
Okay,
not
right,
same
right.
generation.
So you went to school in the 90s, so you got the same shit I got.
Yeah.
And what is kind of funny to me is when we were doing really well in the sort of Pochettino and winning, every game felt like we were going to win. I remember doing this podcast and saying all the times, like, you have no idea what I'd have given for this period.
I know.
Like, when I was a kid, like to walk into school and be like, we spanked your ass. Like, you have no idea how much I'm enjoying this. And then when obviously that era came to an end and we went through the Joes and stuff and things ironically felt really bad at that moment, but now suddenly don't seem so bad. It was kind of like me kept saying, like, well, you know, in the 90s, I had to deal with a relegation battle. and now last season, even though the league place was what it was, I never felt in danger at all. I always felt like I knew what they were doing. I understood players are decimated. He's just focusing on the Europa League to get Europe and to win something. It's a massive gamble, very ballsy, because if it doesn't work, he's going to look like the worst manager in our history. It worked, amazing. But I wasn't worried about relegation. I know a lot of people were shouting about it, and it's like, oh, we're only not because other teams are bad. I didn't feel that at all last season. This season,
I didn't as well, because I think we were like 13 to 16 points. I think we ended up the season 18 points clear, didn't we, by it was all said and done. And it was never really a threat. As then, in terms of league place, it was because we were 17th. But in terms of points, we were miles clear. I think when we beat Brentford and I think it was about January last year when we beat them, and then we suddenly win about 13 to 16 points clear or something like that.
Yeah, and
this year we were the same in this January, and now we're, as I speak to you, we're sat in the bottom three, which is just unthinkable for Tottenham, isn't it?
It's mad, like it is this kind of, but I don't know how you feel on this, but as much as it feels mad, like how in the hell are we here, there's part of me that has this, there's an element of the way the club's been run, the way the club's been managed from various levels, and you look at it and you go, I understand why we're here.
Oh God, yeah.
And I don't know about you, but it's us that suffer. Like the fans, like we don't deserve this at all.
God, no.
I was watching the game at Sunderland and immediately it kicked off and I could hear the away fans straight away. And my first thought straight away was like the cost involved in that travel to go to Sunderland, which, you know, if anyone's ever been there before, I always laugh and say it's twinned with Mordor. But to do that, to get there, to travel, to everything like that, to put that support in when we are where we are, and the football we've seen this season has been, you know, like wallpaper, sandpaper to the eyes. It is so impressive. Like I'm always impressed by our fans. You know, it's always. I know every club says that our fans are the best and stuff, but I'm always blown away by that. And I
am as well, and I think. Particularly, like, because we seem to get a bad rep, don't we? This season in particular, it's been in the news a lot. Obviously, with Thomas Frank was falling out a few times. Some of the players have as well. But I think what they will have really learnt this season is the loyalty that this fan base have, and even the home games. The amount that we pay to go for the home games, we've experienced 2 wins and 4 in 2 seasons, which is just. It almost works out about £500 a win, doesn't it? And you just when you see go away to Sunderland, and you just know. If the worst does happen next year, the same will happen again. We'll be loyal. We're a really loyal fan base, and I think this season has pretty much proved it. And I was particularly impressed with the home games, like Forest and Palace. The fans are trying to get behind the team, aren't they?
Well, the Forest game, I got to be honest, it took me a couple of days to get over that. That broke me a bit, and I think the reason why it broke me is because of what the fans did. Like there was an effort online which I played a small part in, and everybody seemed to be joining together. And then within a day of everyone kind of doing that, and I know you were sort of integral in kicking that off, then the players started posting about the club, like retweeted it. And I was kind of like, okay, this feels like something. This feels like
Yeah.
If this squad of players can't look at that and be ready to run through walls, sort of, you know, I was kind of like, this is it. This is going to be the turning point. This is a massive game. We can win this, even, you know, get over the line, like one going in off someone's shin, for example. Just get over the line, and everyone is in this together, and we're going to pull through. To lose it 3-0, like it really did rock me. Like, this kind of, because I've been thinking for a while, I think we're in trouble, and then that game was like, oh, we're actually bad. Like, we're actually really, this is real. Because if you can't feel that atmosphere and still play the way they did, I mean, do you have? Because I mean, you were there. Do you have any thoughts to that? Like, did it go? Because I saw one pundit say, "Oh, the Tottenham fans put too much pressure on them," and I just don't buy into that.
I don't particularly buy into that either, and I think it just speaks to everything this season that it's very easy to seem to blame Tottenham fans for everything, isn't it? But you know, I think the pressure comes from the situation. Like, if they're not feeling pressure at being 1 point above the relegation zone at that point, or whatever it was, then you know, then that's where the pressure comes from. It's not from the fans, is it? And then I felt a bit like you, and to be honest, I felt like that the last few games. It just feels desperate at the moment, because I thought, well, given them an amazing reception, the atmosphere was brilliant. There was an actual sense of togetherness in one of our darkest moments in our history, and thought that might make a difference, but it ended up not working. And then the same again I felt in the Sunderland game as well. I thought, well, they've got a new manager now, new coach, a big deal. And it's the same again, same kind of performance, same kind of result. And it just feels at the moment like that was our last roll of the dice. And if that Sunderland game is anything to go by, it's not worked. But it feels like everyone has been trying everything, haven't they? The fans, the club have now tried with a new manager, the players. But at the moment, nothing's working.
No, I mean, I gave my opinion on the De Zerbi appointment. I know you have as well, so we're not going to labour that because he's there now. You know, it's like one of those things. It's like we've aired our reasons why we had a problem with it, but it's where it is.
And whatever those reasons are, and you know, we both made them clear in that, but from a football perspective, it makes a lot of sense. But it just
because the thing is, before I watched the guy basically blow up his time at Brighton, I wanted him. Like, I genuinely was like,
me too.
That style of football, you know, if Pochettino's not coming home, that football's what I like. And he blew that up, and that was kind of my first, I didn't like that. That's kind of, but you never know what's gone on behind the scenes to lead to that. It won club anyway. He's then gone to Marseille and basically put together a team of bastards, which is the politest way of putting it. And you're kind of looking at that going, okay, well, that's... And then, you know, he said what he said about Greenwood, that. So for me at that point, it was like, nah, that's not a guy I really want in my club. But like I said, but from the football that he gets his teams to play, that is the football I want to watch my team to play. So it's a very conflicting thing in my brain. Like,
me too.
Really don't like what that guy is sort of saying. His non-apology as well has just made it worse for me. But like I said, he's here. I'm not going to keep dwelling on that. But one of the things, like you said then, is like we have had this break, an extended break for the internationals. He had a full week to work with them, which a lot of coaches coming in at this point would never have got. And I don't know, again, a bit like the Forest game, I guess I was kind of hoping to see something, like some sort of like just something. I can't even tell you what I was hoping to see anymore, but just something that would make me think, oh, they're really going for it, or really fighting. The one thing I would say from the game, and I'm trying my best not to dig out individuals on a regular basis because the whole collective's a mess. But there are times in that game I look at that and I think, where the hell's relegation Richie? Because that guy had 3 or 4 chances. I swear in an Everton shirt he'd have bagged a hat-trick in that game.
Yeah, and those ones that fell to him on the edge of the box, you'd think, you know, I mean, and they were... And I'm a big fan of Richie. Yeah. I think I thought that, you know, that Liverpool game shows him that he's the character that you want, but... I thought the performance against Sunderland was dreadful, to be honest, putting it lightly. And what I really hope about that game is that he learnt that that front three cannot play together again. I understand maybe why he did it in his first game, because he's trying to just get as many strikes on the pitch as possible to try and score some goals, but the technical level of the team was just so bad against Sunderland, wasn't it?
It was awful.
We've got to see some Xavi and some Tel, I imagine. There's just no creativity in it whatsoever in that one.
It's got to be, because, I mean, Tel, I don't know whether perhaps he's still recovering from the injury picked up just because he pulled out of the French under-21 squad. But for me, he was our in-form player, really. And I've been really impressed with him, and still, I mean, my opinions on Thomas Frank are of war criminals. So I just can't get over that he just sat him down and was even at one point trying to, like, willing to let him go. It just is maddening to me.
Yeah.
But there's so many things. But yeah, the Sunderland game, again, it just, I mean, the Forest game kind of broke me. It took me a few days to recover. The Sunderland game, I think it was that, okay, come on then, you got the new manager Banks, let's see it. Nothing. Now the next game's Brighton, which I still can't wrap my head around if this is a good thing or a bad thing, or is there many Brighton players who are going to have a thing of like, oh, it's De Zerbi, okay, let's lift it a notch, or I don't know if that's a thing really, or what he can do to try and motivate him, because I mean it's almost like the home games now. The players arrive not expecting to win, which is a nightmare mindset to be in.
Yeah.
And the fans as well, because is much, and it is human. You cannot help this, but when you're there and you've got yourself, you're there, you're ready to support them, and something happens, you do get that deflated thing. Like, you can't help it. And when you're sort of watching, like I watch on the TV, you can actually hear it. Like, that's for all the great design ideas of like the stadium being like this noise kind of conductive thing and everything, you can almost hear the collective, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, you really get it,
100%. And this one, the Forest game was particularly bad on, because it's like, well, the atmosphere was brilliant. We put everything into it before the game. Players have come out. We're playing all right, actually.
Yeah.
And then we concede that goal before half time, and you just think, oh God, that's it.
Yeah.
And then sort of a collective, and I think the problem in the last few games, particularly going back the last 4 or 5 games, is as soon as there's a setback, the players just seem to give up, don't they? There's no resilience. And as soon as a team goes 1-0 up against us, which invariably happens at the moment, that's it, we're done, we're cooked.
Well, because the thing is, all season, and again, I go back to Thomas Frank's tenure, is causing this. We are really struggling to score. And you look at the players, that the creativity and stuff like that a lot of them have got. I know we've had massive injuries again, which is a whole other issue. But like against Sunderland, and I know this is a horrible thing to say, but you put a Kane back in the side, you put a Son to Min back in the side. Yeah. We probably scored 2 or 3 goals in that game.
Yeah. We
come away from the stadium with like 3-1 win, and we play the exact same way. And all of us are thinking, the performances aren't really there yet, but it's another win. And it kind of registers in my brain, this decline we've had has been hidden perhaps by certain players for a while. Yeah. And like I don't know, you kind of recognise it, but at the same time you're like, oh, no, because so-and-so's still quite good, and you kind of, yeah, but you I guess your brain rationalises it as, no, it can't just be that. It can't just be that. And then all of a sudden you're in this position now where it's like those players have gone, and we can't buy a goal. Like I like Solanke, but against Sunderland, he wasn't worth being on the pitch.
No.
And like I said, I don't like digging at the individuals, but I'm thinking these are the players that we really need right now. Like, we need to get them in chances and stuff. And they were chances coming in that game, but just every one was snatched at or like dribbled along the floor. I think there was probably 1 or 2 decent efforts that came in, but that's it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is kind of the impossible question, but do you think, looking at everything right now, there is still a chance? I mean, obviously there's still a chance, there's still points, etc. But for everything you've seen, Do you feel like now this is just the march to relegation? Or do you actually think, oh no, because if we do take one of these chances or a couple of these chances, we could turn it around?
I feel like the only chance that we've got, and the only rationale of it is based on just hope rather than anything. It's definitely not based on anything that we're really seeing on the pitch, because I think we've just been absolutely dreadful. And I think, if you look at the evidence right now will say that we're going down, because we've lost, we haven't won in 14 games, which is almost a top 3 Premier League record.
Yeah.
And we essentially have to win half of our remaining games to stay up, and you just can't, on probability, think that we go from 0 in 14 to 3 and 6. It just feels impossible, doesn't it? But at the same time, I just kind of feel it will just take one win out of somewhere to really.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem that we have, and it speaks to everything that you've just been talking about and everything that we've been talking about the whole time, is lack of confidence, isn't it? There's just no confidence in these players, and I just feel like it'd be like a bit like that Mukiele goal, like just a deflection of someone's arse or something like that, and we get a 1-0 win against Brighton, and suddenly everyone's thinking, actually, we can do this. But
that's
I think
the thing.
Everything seems desperate, doesn't it, at the moment?
That's the thing. It's like the Brighton game. You go to every game, it's like, oh, this is probably our last chance. And I've been saying
that every game since 2026.
I know. It feels like, oh, well, this is it. If we don't win this one, we really are.
I remember saying that about the West Ham game, and then I've said it every game since, and just can't get one over the line, can we?
No, it is mad. But like, you look at the Brighton game, home. It's the first home game for the manager. I know we as a fan base are going to get there, and I know we're going to back the team, and the sport's going to be good to start the game.
Yeah,
but then and De Zerbi said it himself, and then it's on the players to take that support and justify it and help it all build. Because I've been in that stadium, you've obviously been a little more. When you get on top, remember that game we got on top of the Arsenal and just
the 3-0, yeah.
Gary Neville said it brilliantly. Tottenham fans won that game. They got they marmalised them from the start to finish. When the team are putting the effort in and the run in and getting on it, the atmosphere in that ground can be second to none. Like, it really can be something quite, holy shit. And you can see in opposite team, even experienced players are a bit like, Jesus, this is a lot. But and De Zerbi said it, and it's true. It's symbiotic. Like, you can't get that from the fan base if on the pitch is lackluster and shite. And I get that the players need that 12th man as well. They need that kind of support, but it does have to be symbiotic. So I know at the start of that Brighton game, the fans are going to be behind the team and they're going to be doing all they can to drive them forward. And if they start and they go out with pace and they're closing and they're putting in the effort, I know that'll grow. And like you said, some goal happens, like off a shin, an ass, a hair, anything goes in, the place will erupt, and then it's kind of like, okay, here we go. I mean, I'll tell you the example, which is now a frigging nightmare, of course, was against Palace. We went 1-0 up in that game. And I thought fucking brilliant. Finally, we've gone up. This is... And then, Van der Ven sent off, penalty, like, it all just vanished. And you saw... I mean, they scored 3 goals in, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's like I think it was like 6 minutes in total.
It was gone. It was like, you could just see... The minute they got the penalty and we were down to 10 men, the players, the fans, everyone was just like, oh, shit. Like, we were happy. We had 90 seconds of happiness? And then it all just went. And you're just looking at it, and I'm like, this is... Because it's funny, like, again, you look at it, you've been around football as long as me and you have, you've seen teams who are going down, and you're like, geez, they're not getting any luck, are they?
Yeah.
And then you're watching us this season, like, with the decisions we've been getting... The shot against Sunderland going in off like a deflection, you're like, yeah, this feels like I've seen this before, just with other people normally.
And that's what I sort of hope that De Zerbi will do, is it just sort of brings back a little bit of resilience, because it's just any minor setback at the moment, they're gone. Yeah. And you saw it against Sunderland in a game that, was 50-50. I mean, I don't think we played very well at all, but neither did Sunderland really. There was nothing in that game.
I was going to say,
but as soon as we went 1-0 down,
it wasn't a
there was no fight back for it. And I'm just waiting for us at one game just to really throw the kitchen sink at everything, you know. But just doesn't seem to be that desire at the moment, does it? And I think we've got to do that against Brighton. I mean, I like I've said this every single game of 2026, but this is the one now, isn't it? If we don't win this one, then I really fear it. But if we win it, it might be the spark that we need.
I was going to say, it's got to happen fast, because the other teams
time's
are
running
fighting,
out, isn't it, mate?
the other teams are fighting like crazy. Leeds just went in, won at Old Trafford.
Well, that was a hammer blow, wasn't it? I really thought they'd be dragged in, and then they go and do that.
Yeah, and you look at that and you think, wow, okay. You've seen West Ham have been putting together results one after the other, and you just look some of these teams, and again, this is no disrespect to them. They're more used to this. Like, they have an understanding in the club, the fans, the players. Oh, this is what we need to do to dig ourselves out of this mess, and you're kind of seeing it. Whereas our lot look lost. Like, this isn't happening. This isn't real. How did we end up here? Like, you know, this can't be real. And I mean, this is a whole topic we could dive into, but I just feel the direction and the management of the club is so rudderless, so apathetic, that it is just spread now to the entirety of the team. And I always get this put to me, and I bet you've had it as well, which is about Daniel Levy. And people are just kind of like, oh, you know, we all should have been careful what we wished for and all this kind of stuff. And I've got two things on this, and then I'd love your opinion. One is, he shoulders a massive amount of the blame of the position we're in, and that should never be forgotten. But I do believe he'd have fired Thomas Frank 2 months earlier, or if not earlier than that, and I don't think we'd be in this position with Levy running it. So I know that's contradictory, but what I mean by that is, I think he'd have got rid of him, done something. I think he'd have backed whoever it was in January, because I remember the last time we were in shit, from decisions he made, by the way, which includes Thomas Frank. That was his last managerial appointment. Decisions he makes, but he did always kind of go, shit, that's not worked, and adjust it. And I think if he'd done that in October, November time, we would have put together enough results to be sat mid-table and angry and annoyed at the situation, but not dealing with what we're dealing with. I know that's a bit contradictory, but that's my thoughts. What do you think on that? Because it is something that's going to keep coming up.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is contradictory. Actually, I think that's probably about spot on. I think first of all, and you're completely right. A lot of a massive amount of this mess, the situation that we're in, is because of Daniel Levy in the first place. So saying that he would be different if he was here is not to excuse him of any blame. He's definitely not doing that. But if we look back on this season as a whole, and I'm just talking about this season only, not what came before it, because all of that you can pretty much attribute to Levy. I think the two biggest mistakes that we've made are, one is sticking with Thomas Frank for too long. Yeah. I mean, if you excuse hiring him, if you go past hiring him in the first place, that's obviously
well said. Billy.
Sticking with him for too long. Yeah. And the January transfer window.
Yeah, massive.
For me, the January transfer window, if we get relegated, we'll look back on that as being one of the most pivotal bits of incompetence in the history of our football club.
I did a video, sort of a jokey thing the other day, which is, say jokey but true, which where I said there are two dominoes for me which took this club from the heights, the best heights I'd seen, to where we are now. The first domino is the video on the Amazon documentary of Daniel Levy firing Pochettino, and he looks at the camera and he says, "Oh, only time will tell if I was right." Domino one. Yeah, domino one. And the second one is that fucking interview Johan Lang to the club media, telling all of us as Spurs fans, oh, we didn't sign really anybody because, you know, there's injured players are coming back, and you don't want to, do that really. And you're looking at it and it's like, oh, hardly anyone did any business. Well, the teams around us did. I don't.
And it's just so funny, isn't it, that, last night Lookman, a player we could have definitely signed, goes and essentially secures Atletico into the Champions League semi-final, isn't it? And then there's no players around that can improve us, apparently.
See, there's something about that one, and I think perhaps you were privy to the same thing I was, which is he was like offered to us, and the player wanted to join us. Like I think someone even said the poor man's even a Spurs fan, which I dread to think being true because I wouldn't wish that on anyone anymore. But like,
yeah, I've never claimed to be ITK or anyone like that. I just, I know a few people that know things and stuff, and I never post it or anything like that because as soon as you do that, you open yourself up to all sorts, don't you? But one thing I do know is that we definitely could have signed down Amola Lookman, put it that way.
Well, from what I was told, basically it was there, and we said no. Like we were like, no.
That's it. We rejected it.
Now, when you look at the fact they sold Brennan Johnson, and Kudus is out injured and now is not going to return this season, which is
another fatal line, isn't it? The injured players will return soon, is what Lang said.
It just is like the incompetence level across every department is what baffles me. It's like any industry anyone listening to this works in, no matter what you do, maybe not local government, but no matter where you work, you must be looking at this and going, I'd have lost my job. The people around me would have lost their job. How are people not losing their jobs? Like, this is... I don't... Like, Thomas Frank, my opinion on him, like I said, is a war criminal to football. Like, he needed to go, should never have been hired. But when you look at the fact that him and his coaches lost their job, but all the people that told us that he was the best man after a thorough search and all of this are still there. And they get to appoint the next one, which doesn't work, and then they appoint the next one, and you're kind of like, at what point do you question the ones making the appointments?
And I'm sure, let's be honest, I'm sure we will go in summer, but at that point it's too late. We might be relegated by then, so it's too late. You should have gone a long, long time ago, and it's obviously, I'm not having to go at him on a personal level, but you just watch interviews with him and stuff, and he just doesn't scream like, I'm a director of football, does he? He's got like, if that was the guy that was directing literally directing our football, then it just doesn't scream incompetence at all. And then you look at the decisions. I read somewhere that he spent 700 million since he's been here, and we've had back-to-back, bottom 15 finishes that we're about to get, and it's a staggering level of incompetence, this guy, and that's going back to Daniel Levy. You have to remember that he's the one that hired him. So.
I was about to say the Daniel Levy thing there, I think, triggers in for me, actually, because I'm never going to defend Lang, right? I'm not, because I think he's got the personality of an amoeba, which is one of those things, but he also is proven that he can't put a squad together. But, and I will put an asterisk to this, he has been asked to put a squad together for completely contrasting styles of managers due to Daniel Levy not being able to stick to one bloody thing ever. Like, when Lang was there and he brought in Ange, the whole Ange philosophy compared to what the squad could do at that point was completely different. And so I knew, everyone knew, well, this squad's going to have to be completely overhauled to play Ange ball. It just is. And that very first window, if you remember, they actually made a load of first-team signings.
Yeah,
Van de Ven, Madison, Vicaria, Johnson. Like they made actual signings to improve the first team. And then I don't know what happened, but after that, the policy changed to just sign youngsters. And Ange himself and others were like, look, these are fantastic prospects, and in a few years' time they're gonna be brilliant. But this doesn't help me now. Like I need a player to come in now, and I need this player and this player, and by the way, the 10 you already got me are now injured. What the hell's going on? And they kind of escaped, and then to go from him, like the philosophy, the squad was being built towards him, to Thomas Frank, which is the equivalent of murder ball compared to Ange ball. Again, that's okay, the whole squad needs changing again then, because Pedro Porro is not a Thomas Frank fullback. Doggy is not these guys have basically wing backs that became inverted fullbacks, and now you're asking them to be old-fashioned, traditional. Okay, you might overlap, maybe, sometimes.
Yeah.
And you just kind of look at it and you go, okay, so that decision there, if you are a director of football, if you like, and your job is the squad building and the planning, that must make it. I mean, you must want to drive your head through a wall, surely. Like that's insane.
And just, I mean, if you look at long term, it's crazy. But even if you just look short term, we've gone from Ange to Frank to Tudor to De Zerbi. There's no coherence there whatsoever. No. If you'd have gone maybe De Zerbi straight after Ange, you'd have Frank. At least they both try and play. Both try and play football. And even it's funny that De Zerbi has come out in a couple of interviews last week, hasn't he?
Yeah,
so
basically, yeah.
I like Ange.
Yeah, I really like Ange ball. And this
just hammers home that point, doesn't it? That we threw all that out with we threw the baby out with the bathwater, didn't we? And tried to change it all.
And that's the kind
it's just mad.
So, do you know, someone said this, that it's like one of those things that you know all of this information, and when someone said it to me in one sentence, I went, Jesus, yeah. And that was Tottenham went 17 years without a trophy. They finally won one, sacked the chairman who oversaw it, sacked the manager that did it, sold the captain that lifted it, and then sold the guy who scored the goal to win it. What message does that send the squad?
Yeah.
And it just, I was like, I know there are circumstances in all of that where you look at that and go, yeah, son, really, it was his time to meet, it was his decision and his time to go to another league and make some money for a few years. Johnson, wasn't getting picked and it was decent money. You can go for each decision there and go, okay, I get it. But when you lay that out, you do have to look at that and go, yeah, wow, yeah, ouch.
It's just absolutely baffling, isn't it, mate? It's just, and that's why, I can't excuse Levy for any of this. But going back to your original point, I do think that he would have spent more in January, because Levy, as much as he was way too risk averse, and but he wasn't averse to a panic sometimes. And he has panicked a few times, and he would have panicked in this situation. I just can't believe that we lost. We had lost 8 first-team players in January alone. We sold Brennan Johnson, lost Kudus, and then to not sign anyone other than Conor Gallagher, who's, funnily enough, the one area of the pitch where we've got about 4 or 5 different depth.
And that's not.
We signed a young left back.
Yeah,
and it's just unbelievable. So I think if the worst does happen, we'll look back on that January transfer window as a massive point at which.
I think you're right. I think because the January transfer window was where you could have fixed it. Like that was where you could have. Because the other thing I kept seeing about, because I rewatched that interview for my sins before doing it, because I just, in my mind, I remember Lang saying, well, we didn't want to sign anyone because players are coming back. And I was like, do you know what, I'm going to watch it again because I want to make sure I've remembered him correctly. And one of the things he was saying was you don't want to sign players that then aren't good for the long term. And he kind of did this whole thing. And I was like, he's talking like the loan system doesn't fucking exist.
Yeah.
It's like there are players available who could have come in and it's going to sound stupid, but just provided a body, a fresh impetus, fresh legs to a squad that was struggling because those who were still fit were playing every minute of every game.
And you know what I think it is, mate? I think at that point in time, they were too arrogant to think we could get relegated.
It is the arrogance. I think you're right.
And they thought, there's no, we'll be fine. We'll just about scrape out of this, and then we'll go again in summer. And then,
do you know what?
I think the only time that they thought relegation was a possibility is when they sacked Tudor. I think that's when it first hit home that actually this is going to happen. Because
I think you're right. And you can actually, again, go back to that interview. The way he's talking about recruitment and the way he's talking about these things is like, he's talking about Champions League. And I know we were still in the Champions League, which is mind-blowing at that point. But there ain't a fan alive who was looking at that going, well, a few of us joked, could we? But, none of us thought, well, we're going to have this amazing Champions League campaign which is going to bail us out. We all just looked at that point, sadly, as shit, that's a massive distraction. Yeah. We really need to sort the league out. But the way he was talking was like recruitment.
It's just mad because if you'd have just gone, if you'd have sacked Frank in January or December, then the new manager comes in, they've got a transfer window to buy players, but they waited till after January. Do you remember those stupid interviews where Frank was coming out every press conference saying, I've had lunch with the bosses and they're happy with me at the moment, every game after a loss. And then, it just was way too late. And it's almost like the damage is irreparable now.
You had someone, again, put this together. And, we'd have known this, but this season feels like it's been 6 years. There were 5 games in a row where the Spurs fans were chanting, you're getting sacked in the morning.
Yeah.
To him. 5 in a row. how many games after those 5 before he was sacked, do you think? And this, like, it was, you heard this and was like, yeah, that's about right.
So I'm guessing those games go back to sort of January. So I reckon a good 2 or 3 games after at least.
They actually were Christmas time. The season of goodwill, and it was another 6 games before he was.
Yeah, it's just mad, isn't it? And it's essentially. I mean, obviously Tudor was massively failed, but at least if you do it in January, then he can say, because he obviously looked at the squad and think, I can't play my back 5 here. So, and then January he could assign someone. I mean, for me, I personally didn't want him in the first place because I'm a big fan of Ange, but you know that's another podcast in itself, isn't it? And then I thought, well, we'll see how it goes. Then for me, the Arsenal and Chelsea games was the moment when I thought this isn't going to work.
That was.
But the point where it had to go was the Forest game. Surely, when we lost 3-0, we got absolutely battered by them, and then.
Let's see. I right at the very start when he was appointed, me and Stephan, who's my usual co-host, we had this conversation because he really liked Thomas Frank, really rated him, and I asked him why, and he was like, "Well, I've seen him on these podcasts talking football, and like he talks a lot of sense." And I was kind of like, "Yeah, he's quite good at the PR, self-promotion, but like I've watched Brentford quite a lot. Like that isn't what I want to watch." I really enjoyed Ange Ball, and even though it wouldn't work I was like, with the right players, it will. Like, and we've won a trophy. This squad were all together. You could see them season 3. Like this could actually be really good. So him being sacked, then Levy went, Thomas Frank's there, and I'm like, oh, okay, we'll see what happens. We set up in that European Super Cup game to try and snatch a win in that game, and I was like, okay, I can see what he's trying to do there against PSG, who were a very good side. We were actually a little bit unlucky not to win that. Okay, fair enough. And then we go into the league and we start, and I'm kind of watching. I'm like, we can't create a chance. Like, this is really early on, and I was like, there's nothing there. Like, he's not coached this team how to attack at all. Like, it's long throws, set pieces. And I think we got to about the 10th game and we'd scored 1 goal that wasn't from a set piece of some description. And that was like Kudus did something special. And it was, and I'd said on this podcast, I said, the only way we score is a set piece or an individual doing something brilliant. And that's worrying to me. Like, there is no goal threat because you just try and defend for 90 minutes. You are going to concede goals in the Premier League, no matter who it is. And sure enough, it was dire, and that was the way it went. What did you think to the rumour? Sorry, jumping around a little bit, to Paratici and the reasons why he went, because there was this thing that the club kind of leaked that he'd met someone and that was why he wanted to go back to Italy. But then no sooner was he out, did he kind of leak that he was telling the club to sack Frank and no one would listen to him, and that was why he had to go. Yeah,
I mean, it's just absolutely baffling that, when you look at the first big decision that the Lewis family made under their new era was obviously, after Daniel Levy left, was that they rehired Paratici and put him in charge of director of football. And then 3 months later, he wants to leave. And then it's just, you can't write it, can you, how badly it all turned out. And I can imagine he probably is frustrated. And then, because he obviously has much more of a track record than anyone else at the club of actually being involved in an elite club at Juventus. So he has much more history of that than anyone else that we've had, certainly more than Langer. And then I just can't believe that as soon as he wanted to go, they didn't get rid of him because they ended up keeping him for the January transfer window and essentially working a notice period. And if anyone's worked a notice period before, you know what it's like. There's no way you can. And funnily enough, in that January transfer window, Fiorentina signed 5 players, and now they're out of a relegation battle, which they were in before.
I was literally about to say to you, Fiorentina, who were in a relegation battle in Italy, suddenly had some sort of transfer into impetus. And did you see the deals as well?
Yeah,
they were all him. Like, they were all like loan with an option here and this.
But we tried to save face by keeping him for January when, and this is where they're so incompetent. They have no sort of authority to make a correct decision. Is just get rid of him in January and say, right, you want to go, just go. But they tried to save face by keeping him for the January transfer window. And obviously his attention is on Fiorentina, which is why they did 5 deals and we did 2. And it's just unbelievable.
The whole kind of the PR kind of nonsense behind them is baffling, because they did a big thing of him working with Lang. Like, oh, we've got two sporting director, football director, like they're going to work together. They did like this sit down interview, both of them on the same sofa, you know, all this crap. And then within a month, Paratici, based on what, you know, he's kind of said, he was screaming at them, this isn't working. Like, you have to fire him. Look at the squad. The players are up, like, no one's happy. The fans are revolting. Like, you have to act. And nothing's done. And so he basically hands his notice in, like, I can't work here. This is nonsensical. No one's listening to me. They almost then, like you said, what should have happened is, okay, off you go then. It's not worked. Press releases, you know, we did this, we had this kind of system. It hasn't worked the way we wanted it to work, so we're making a change before January. Simple, easy. But no, not them. Oh, we did this big thing about it. Oh shit! All right, well we'll just bury our heads in the sand, and yeah, he might be leaving. Remember, they didn't even confirm it for ages. Like, everybody knew. Didn't. Like, it was the worst kept secret in football that he was leaving. And then it was just a like random afternoon. Oh yeah, by the way, he's at the end of the window. He's going. It's like, well, what's he done in the window? Like, what was the point of him being there? And then, of course, you get the reveal that he was screaming that they needed to sack someone. And that brings me to Vinay. What's your opinion on Arsenal loving Vinay and his tenure so far?
Well, being polite, the politest thing I can say has been an unmitigated. It's been an unmitigated disaster on every conceivable level.
Yeah.
I think if you're being kind to him, you would say, well, he was obviously hired for a number two, behind Levy, and is not capable of being a number one.
No.
I mean, I think it's funny that the level of incompetence that he showed has led people to genuinely question or if it's an inside job and he's trying to, trying to send us down because he's Arsenal.
That's football fandom in not showing it. Like, when a player goes somewhere and they're not doing as well as they did, you're like, there he is doing the Lord's work for us.
But it's funny. It's done such a bad job that you almost can't. That's a credible argument at this point, isn't it? Because if you were going to do that, if you were an Arsenal operative and trying to go inside Tottenham and ruin them,
what he's done, he's done a phenomenal job for them. Yeah, I mean, it's if he walks away and suddenly has a job back at Arsenal, we are all going to be convinced what it was. But I look at it and someone again I was chatting to my brother who's Spurs, and we were talking about it, and he was like, the thing is, like, all of our issues with Levy, and there are justified massive list of issues. The bloke was 24/7. He lived and breathed that job role, which meant that I think when they got rid of him, there is a massive void of people who actually know how to do things. And that is a failing of the club, because if you over rely on anybody in any role, in any position, any type of business, and that person then leaves, you're fucked. And it's almost like they didn't realise how much he was on top of, and now he's gone, and you've got Vinay, who's 9'5". It's like literally clocks off at the end of the day, like, good night all. It's like, there's literally a fire. Are you going to do anything about that? No? Okay, cheers.
Make it worse, yeah.
Yeah, just throw some petrol on it. No, wait, that's too expensive. Use some of the Brewdog. I can't get my head around him, and there's two reasons why. When he arrived, he was this kind of, I'm going to be working with Daniel, I'm going to be like working with the fans and the fan groups, and everyone looked at, he actually did a lot of good work at Arsenal with fan engagement and stuff and things, and you look at that and go, okay, all right, well, let's see what he does. Obviously then what's happened, and he's been elevated in this thing, and I was reading some sort of summaries of meetings he's had with like the trust and fan advisory board. He ain't coming across well.
Right. And it's funny, at the beginning he was dropping statements and videos after statement and video as soon as he won the Europa League and stuff, but as soon as the shit has hit the fan, he's gone very quiet all of a sudden, hasn't he? Yeah. I mean, he did that message in the programme around the January transfer window saying, they're going to do this and this to player trading, and then
Nothing.
You know, a few months later, we're almost being relegated. So it's been an unmitigated disaster. And I think for at that level, when you're operating at that level, you can just tell a lot about people by the sort of the way they carry themselves and stuff, can't you? He doesn't scream to me like, I'm gonna sort this mess out. No. Every time you see them two in the crowd, it looks like they just look like doom and gloom. I don't know. They don't strike me as people that are going to sort this mess out at all. I think they'll both be gone in summer, to be honest.
Every single time I see them in the crowd and there's a shot, invariably someone will use the wonders of AI and turn them into clowns.
Yeah.
I see it honestly. I
see people online call them the Chuckle Brothers as well.
Yeah. But you see it on Sky, and immediately as soon as I see they're Vinay and Johan Lang watching on, I'm like, within minutes I'll find that on Twitter. Within minutes, sure enough, I load it up, bang, there it is. And it is. There's nothing more I can't think of a more. The ineptitude, the inability to see what's going on, and I don't know. I find it baffling, and this is why the theory exists. It must be deliberate. the guy must be sabotaging us. Because
you almost want to see them when it goes to them in that crowd shot. Just look absolutely furious, don't you? And think, this is not acceptable. I need to do something about this. But they just look like they're sort of resigned to it all. And there's no, if this was, I hate to use an example because obviously he's a criminal and a horrific, and the both ones I'm going to use actually are both criminals and deplorable people. But if you go to Marinakis or Abramovich in the crowd, you can tell that they're looking at it when they're losing. They're looking at it thinking, if we don't sort this out, I'm going to boot everyone out or kill someone.
Yeah, like this guy's going to wake up with a horse's head in his bed.
These guys just look like that. And it's to say, one of the big things, again, which we haven't spoken about is the refereeing situation. Again, you could do a whole podcast on that, as I'm sure anyone can. But you just can't imagine these guys ringing up the PGMOL and having a go at them, can you? It's just they're almost. There's no statement from Tottenham. It's just they're so resigned to everything.
The only person this season who's had a go at the referees on our behalf was Tudor.
Yeah. And
then there was a little snippet in, I think it was the Daily Mail, of how the club reminded him that he shouldn't do that. And it was like, and I could just completely. Like, oh, you'll get fined. Don't say that. Like, don't do that. And then you've got other clubs who, again, and here's the contradiction. I don't like this. I don't like that other clubs have issued statements at the end of games like, this is clear fucking cheating and stuff like.
Yeah.
I don't think that's good. I don't like it. It didn't happen. And I also strongly believe the whole reason that this happens is because of VAR.
Yeah.
Like, before VAR, I don't know if you feel the same, but I would see refereeing cock-ups all the time, but my brain would go, oh, well, they're human. Like, he's missed it. He's missed that. He's got that wrong. Whatever. But now they've got the ability that someone is sat there watching a replay and they still can't get it right. That's where your brain goes, well, this is bollocks. This is corrupt. This is messed up because how can you apply... Like, one referee's on the pitch, one's in the video studio, and the following week they could be rang the other way, and you've got the exact same incident with the exact same group of people looking at it, and you've got a completely different decision. That then some other asshole on the Monday justifies on Sky. Oh, yeah, well, last week the push in the back was with a hand, whereas this week he's kind of using his forearm, so that's all right. Do you know what I mean?
Almost, it's like that one where they came out on Monday and essentially blaming Romero for being in the way of someone pushing it. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah,
so I almost feel like we're living in the Truman Show sometimes with these guys.
Good analogy. It does feel like. I feel like that in my life a lot anyway. Like,
especially
Spurs. It's a joke, isn't it?
We are the Truman Show club.
I was just showing my age. Jeremy Beadle's going to come out in a minute, isn't he? It's a fucking wind up. So there's the thing with, like, just to talk on this a little bit of the referee, and the Romero incident really pissed me off. There's multiple things to this, and the reason why it pissed me off is I always thought, and I argued this with people on Twitter, is like there is a duty of care on the field, and it's a booking if you do anything deliberately to hurt an opponent. That's always been my understanding, and a friend of mine who's a referee said, yeah, you're right. Like, body check, using your body and everything like that's fine. But if you've done it clearly in that instant, like when you see people get checked into the advertising hoarding sometimes, that's a booking, or at least it should be, because there's no reason to do it. You shield them off and then you just whack them into the stands. No, you're deliberately trying to hurt someone. That guy deliberately barged Romero into the keeper, and 2 players got hurt. One is now out for the rest of the season, our club captain. And despite what everyone's saying, he could actually miss the World Cup as well, and that's probably why he was that upset, because he's captain Argentina. But I don't understand how that was, and the narrative from the commentary team was just like, it's nothing, move on. I don't know. What did you think? Do you think I'm being overly harsh on that, or did you have the same view?
No, I have completely the same view. I think it's blatantly dangerous play. I mean, one player has essentially ended their season, and the other one could have been knocked or was bleeding from their head. It's just blatantly dangerous play. And I know people say, well, he was running at speed, so he had to put his hands out, but there's a push there. Come on, there is a push. There's putting your hands out, and then there's pushing someone. So there's a big difference. And I honestly, Romero is a funny one, because I do defend him at times, and there's no doubt that he's let us down the season. That's just true, like he has. But he's refereed differently from everyone else. I'm sorry, but he is. He is. That booking that he got in the first half
is nonsense.
Brian Brobby has done a much worse one a few minutes before that, and didn't even get a booking. And then Romero's essentially got the ball and got booked just because it's Romero. He definitely gets refereed differently. He doesn't help himself a lot of the time, but in this specific game, I don't think he did anything wrong.
No, he does. I will totally agree. He does get refereed, because almost like the Roy Keane effect. Referees walk onto the pitch looking at him as, that's a yellow card, before he does anything. Like, he's the player today.
That's it, isn't it? It's because people like Gary Neville talk about him all the time as being Argentinian and South American and rash and stuff.
That is the whole. I mean, I don't know if you ever see it, but there's a podcast that overlap with Neville and Roy Keane, and they did this thing where they went for all Roy Keane's red cards. And one of them, Roy Keane turns to Gary, he said, that was your fault. He's like, why? He said, because the minute I did it, you said to the ref, it's only a yellow. It's like the minute you say, it's only a yellow, of course he's going to give me a red.
Yeah.
and I'm like, that's funny. But then you're right, the narrative that can grow as well with fans, with what the co-commentators and the pundits can do. Like, that whole thing with, like, Goodman just talk, like, it's nothing. It's nothing. And I'm watching it, I'm like, I come from a rugby background, and in rugby background, we're taking concussions much more seriously now, thankfully. And he's bleeding from his head. Like, he's having a concussion test done. Do you remember years ago against Everton, Sonny put in a 50-50 challenge, and the poor bastard had his leg broken?
Gomez, yeah.
And it was enough, like, you watch that challenge, that was nothing nasty. It wasn't a leg breaker. It was just off, maybe a booking. And I don't even think it was a booking, but he got a red card for it. And everybody said, whether he meant to do it or not, he broke the guy's leg. So it's dangerous play. He deserved the red card. So I have that sort of screaming in my head as I'm watching this, like, well, he's already on a booking. He's literally barged him into it, and he's laid out, and he just walks off. Whereas later on, someone might accidentally kick the ball away, and they'll get a booking as well. Just where is the sense and the even hand? Like, it just blows my mind. And
it's funny because I don't know if you actually saw that someone on Twitter found, and this is where you start to think, is this the Truman Show and is this Jeremy Beadle? Is that Dermot Gallagher came out after that Sun thing and said he deserved to be sent off.
And
he did the same. He did the same against Brobby, saying it was Romero's fault. It's just there is and people like Gary Neville. Gary Neville has a massive influence on football discourse in this country, because obviously he's on the most watched show, most watched podcast, and every time Romero makes a tackle, he makes that same noise going, and it's got into the minds of everyone. And I think it's even got into the mindset of Romero, to be honest, because he has been really rash this season. But there's just I don't think, all we ask for as football fans, and this goes for VAR and everything, is consistency and a level playing field. And this season, I honestly, in my heart, believe we haven't had that at all. No,
it's forward. The Romero rashness thing this season I think comes from pure frustration at everything
Yeah.
going on at the club. Because you watched him under Ange, and for all the kind of, we were bad defensively and stuff, we conceded less. But anyway, throwing that
We
on
weren't
one
really
side.
when Romero and Van de Ven.
No, when they were there,
we?
we looked good, but they
Yeah.
weren't rash. They were
No, they
controlled.
weren't.
And you watch him now. Like even Van de Ven's been sent off for the first time in his career. He's picking up bookings. He looks pissed off constantly.
Yeah. And it's annoying because I spent all of last year saying that about Romero, and then this year he's gone and got 2 red cards and 12 bookings.
Well, exactly, and it is insanity. But to me, it is a circumstance of, because what I said earlier, I don't want to dig out individuals because as a collective, it's all gone wrong. Like collectively, they are all bad. Like the team, the squad, it has been bad. You can on different times look at individuals and say, what are you doing there? Like what's gone on there? And Romero, you can rightly say you're the club captain, man. You need to not be doing that shit. But at the same time, that's him. That's his nature. It's like Roy Keane at Man United. If Roy Keane ever felt the team were dropping off or anything like that, he'd fucking hammer someone. Like, he'd clatter them and then start screaming at his teammates. Pick yourselves up. Now, the game's different. You could do that a little bit more then and not get sent off every 5 minutes. But, I mean, he used to be red carded on a regular basis and was booked constantly. And Romero's that kind of guy. When he feels that everything's gone to shit around, he needs to get in the game. He needs to pick a fight. You can tell. Look at that Europa League final. He was probably the best player on the pitch because he picked a fight. He literally picked on Harry Maguire and just drove that poor bastard insane for the entire match. To the point I thought Maguire was going to end up getting himself sent off. But that's him. That's his nature. That's the way he plays. And when he's at his best, that's what you want. But, I mean, we're going to finish this season looking at Romero and Van de Ven thinking you guys have really let us down. And also with them being probably our joint top scorers.
Yeah.
That's insane. Like you really can't... I just can't wrap my head around how bad it's been and how long. Like, this season feels like 10 years to me. Because, like...
We've really been through the ringer as fans, haven't we? It's just... Yeah. And I saw a tweet going around this week of about, I think it was 11 games in and we're like third in the table. It's like, what on earth has happened? It just feels like so long ago, doesn't it? And then we had all those set pieces and Romero and Van de Ven scoring every week.
But that was it.
It's just such a slog, isn't it?
It's like what I said earlier on, though. The thing that was worrying at that point is like that was all we had.
Yeah.
That was the thing that was worrying me, and I kept kind of flagging it and kept getting told, no, look at the tail, look where we are, shut up. It's but what if like teams start defending better against us because because the other thing, and a friend of mine works within football as a scout and an analyst, and he talks about the Premier League and the level of analysis that goes into everything, and he's like pretty much every team now has a team that break down every minute of everything, and so when you're preparing for the game, it is okay if we can see the set piece in this area. This is what they are going to do because we've seen them do it. So the more games you play, the more prepared teams are. Over the course of this season, although they'll still score inevitably, Arsenal's corner threat, which was basically they get a corner, they get a goal at one point, has been largely nullified because finally teams worked out how to defend it. And it took them a while, but they have. And so Arsenal tried to vary it up, and they'll still score occasionally, like everyone will, but... That was insane at one point. It was like the minute they got a corner, everyone went, oh shit, here they go.
Yep.
And teams were like, so the analysis team, as things go on, teams will work shit out. And so we were like 10, 15 games in and everybody worked that out. Tottenham have got nothing but set piece. Don't give them one. Like, just stand off them. They can't create. Just don't challenge them. Don't give away a free kick. Don't give away a corner. Don't give away a throw-in this area. I mean, the other thing, of course, is the long throws, which the minute I saw a long throw tournament as part of our pre-season prep, my heart sank. Like, I'm Angeball, I'm Pochettino.
Me too.
It's just like, oh,
and that's why my heart sank when we tried one against Sunderland as well.
It's like, it's like I feel ill, like this is awful. And then someone, again, I look at the stat, we've not scored from a long throw. We've not even created.
We barely even create a chance from them, let alone score.
And it's like, I just can't wrap my brain around it. I know you're 1-0 down in a game, you got to try and get something from. You got a chance to put a long throw. Yeah, of course, that's what you're going to do. Like, same as if you get a free kick, the keeper's going to take it and just lump it into the box and hope.
Yeah.
You're at that stage. I get it. But at the start of the season, like, what's our main attacking threat? Well, we're going to put long throws in. We're hoping for set pieces. And we're going to try passing it through the lines at any point. Remember that stat? At, like, Christmas, Tottenham had played fewer through balls than most midfielders individually for other teams. As a club, I think we played like 2, and yet we were playing against teams where their midfielders averaged that per half. And it was like your mind goes, well, I know I've been seeing it and how bad it's been, but that stat just hit me like a friggin' hammer. Like,
and that's what one of the most frustrating things about Thomas Frank for me was he's apparently this intelligent guy that watches all this football and has done all these podcasts, high performance podcasts and everything, and he analyses every game. And how could he not see our shortcomings? And it didn't change between then and February. We were still just dreadful going forward. And I remember everyone was we were all kidding, as fans, we all do it. We all try and kid ourselves, don't we? And think, well, he played really good football in the Championship with Brentford. Maybe he's going to do it again. But of course he wasn't. He's not. He's the most pragmatic manager we've had in years. So. Yeah.
Perhaps that was it. Perhaps his plan was to take us to the Championship where he'd look good again. And
he did say on record, didn't he? I want to win the Championship one day.
And in fairness to him, he was achieving that goal when they let him go. He was really nailed on to get there. So let's try and bring this in for a landing then, because I'm well aware that you're appearing on at least 15 podcasts a day at the moment. And I don't want to take up any more time you got.
Well, I wonder how much that number will change next year if we go down, mate. That's what I want.
Well, do you know what?
I'll still be here. Don't worry. I'll still be calling you. Don't worry.
Well, I've made the stupid decision, right, that I'm going to embrace it no matter what happens.
Me too, mate. Me too. So that's all we can do, right?
If we go down, and by the way, I'm mad at you because you stole my idea. I say stole. You had the same idea. I'm on this show. I've borrowed, acquired the theme tune to the travel show. The one that used to be on. And every week I'm going to do a feature, which is today we're going to Derby, or we're going to Bristol City. I mean, that's the other thing for me is like Bristol City and Swansea are really close. I'd
love to come on for a few of those, mate. Because that's my, that's what I love, that kind of thing.
We'll
I think as fans, you've got to embrace it, haven't you?
What are we gonna do? Like the whole De Zerbi appointment thing left me really. I could walk away, because your decision is I'm never not going to be a Tottenham fan, but I don't have to be disengaged. Do you know what I mean? Like my decision, I don't have to run the Facebook page with nearly 100,000 people. I don't have to do a podcast. I don't have to do. And I said that on the show, and then people messaged in oh, come on, we have a laugh no matter what. And I thought to myself, yeah, you're right. Actually, we do it is a choice. I got this choice of making this Arsenal fan TV where I basically have a rant every week, which I got no interest in, or I can try and make the best of it, try and have a bit of a laugh. And if we do go down, just embrace the shit out of it. The other feature idea I've got is the summer, which is where did they go? Where did they go? And just where the players have gone, because I'm under no illusions that this summer if we go down, there's going to be a lot of goodbyes.
Yep, there certainly will be.
So just let's land.
Hopefully a few hard goodbyes as well, booting out the door.
But the problem is I'm terrified of what's going to come next, because the Lewis family, the rebranded ownership, by the way, the whole kind of Spider-Man pointing at each other meme of the Levy and Enoch to the Lewis family brand, just a fucking saying continuing. What are they going to do? Okay, we've sacked Vinay, it wasn't working. We've sacked Lang. We've appointed Dave, who is the godson of Joe Lewis. He played football twice. Really enjoyed it. Sorry, soccer he calls it. And he really enjoyed it. So he's now in charge. Good luck, everybody. It's like someone somewhere needs to get some experienced football heads to sort this shit out. Because financially we got a problem, a loss of circa 275 million in a season by going down is gonna sting. I did see that Daniel Levy, as standard, put a 50% relegation wage drop in every contract. Thank you, Daniel. I did also
And then
see...
the funny thing about that is that Conor Gallagher doesn't have one.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Like, literally, Daniel's gone and they've come in, whoever's done it now didn't do that as standard, or Connor was smart enough to go, fuck no. Like, if I'm signing for you under this much duress, I'm making sure I get paid. I don't know, man. It's just mind blowing that we're in this position, but we are.
It is, but I'm like you, mate. And this is how sad it's even got to this point. But I've just sort of thought, you know what? If it happens, it might be really good, and it might just be a complete reset that we need. And you know, talk about bringing everything to a close is. I think we just badly need a complete reset. And by that, I don't just mean we'll sell 5 players. I mean, we need to get rid of everyone, don't we? And start again almost. And maybe the Championship is the only way we can do that.
I'd much rather do it surviving in the Premier League. But yes, I completely agree with you.
My problem with that is, and this is when you're a fan, you're basically trying to convince yourself that the worst possibility is going to be all right. I think if we did stay up, I think. Yeah. They probably muddle through the summer transfer window, and we'll be back here again next year talking about the same thing.
I mean, that is definitely a fear, but I
don't want to go down there.
I know exactly what you're saying. The problem is, mate, I don't know how many times I can say, well, this window is really important. Like they need to get this one right. And then at the end,
it's like the games, isn't it? I've said that every game in 2026. Well, this is the one, and it's in every transfer window is the same, isn't it?
But it's like, whilst we've still got this same ownership, I am, and by the way, when Levy went and they did the big Lewis family rebrand, I did say, okay, great, let's see what happens.
Yeah,
this isn't what I had in mind. Like this,
and I think I'm just going on that for a second. I think they very quickly revealed themselves to who they are, didn't they? And they didn't even last 4 or 5 months. No, we could have been going into the summer thinking, everything's different now, and we had a big January transfer window where we spent 200 million and we got out of it, but no, they very quickly revealed themselves to be who they are. So
one of the things I've been doing is I've been building with a notepad when I'm normally on conference calls, working hard, by the way, anyone, is building my squad for next season in the Championship. Trying to work out in my brain people who might stay with us, whether they're forced to or whether they would actually elect to stay and fight for a season in the Championship or whatever. I'm struggling to find a lot of the players who I'd like to staying because I know the sheer amount of interest in them. Like, I saw Alistair Gold did this, and he put both Gray and Bergvall, because they're under contract to 2030, they'll still be here. And I looked at that and I thought, there are like literally Bayern Munich and every top club in Europe trying to sign those. Do you really think those two players are going to be like, yeah, why not? Let's go down to the Championship. I don't need international ambitions. I don't know. I don't know. And do you think the club losing 270 odd million, if someone comes in and offers 40 to 50 for them, aren't going to go, okay, bye.
Exactly.
But anyway, so if there is one player, we're going to finish on this, if there's one player in this squad who you think is definitely going to still be Tottenham, and like if relegated will come out almost like, I'm staying, I'm going to, we're going to come back up, do you think there's anyone in this squad who is that about them?
I think there's one player.
I've got one.
Enough, it's probably the player that could go to almost any club that they want to at the moment, off the back of the season and the back of last season.
All right, go on then.
But I think it's Archie Gray is the only one that I can think of. And I pray to God that we keep him. And I personally would build the side around him. I think he's brilliant and such a good character. And he's probably one of the only ones that isn't going to kick up a fuss and think, well, I got us into this mess, even though he hasn't personally, and I'll try and get us out of it. I just wish if all our players had that attitude, we'd be all right.
I'd like to think he's young enough that he would look at that as, I'll give it a season. You know, because my stock. I mean,
he has no right to really, because he could go to Liverpool in summer or Bayern Munich.
He could easily.
I think his personality is just about. He's probably one of the few players that thinks, well, I'm part of the reason why they did this, so I'm going to stick with it. And we're lucky that he's like that.
The guy I had in mind is the guy who I think will just be like, no, I'm staying, and we're going to sort this out. Is Kevin Danzo.
Yeah.
I feel like he has a total attitude of, I'm happy to be here, which isn't every player we sign.
And the only other one as well is probably James Maddison. And how bad is he going to? How bad for him is that he hasn't even kicked a ball and he'll have another relegation against him. Same with Kulusevski, but those two can't really go, can they?
Well, Decky, you got some shit to deal with, son. I like the conspiracy theory that he's having a sex change operation, by the way. So, did you see that someone put that out there and he actually replied to it like, "What the fuck"?
I did not see that, but it doesn't surprise me.
He replied, "Dude, WTF?" Which that's so Tottenham. You can add that to your list, by the way.
I will. I was going to say,
you'll have to find that. It was I'll see if I can find it for you. I'll tag you on it. But the other the other players, Maddison, Coventry are going up.
Yeah,
I got a feeling he'll go to Coventry.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me either. But he must just be; those two must be fuming, mustn't they? They haven't even kicked a ball, and they get a relegation against their name.
Also, personality-wise, those two have that fight in them.
I feel like if we didn't have one of them back for the run, it would be such a difference.
Yeah, I agree.
But to lose both of them has been a big reason why it's been like this all season. But
at
the same time, they've had 2 windows to address it. So
that's what I was going to say. The individuals and the players, I can give a little bit of grace to a lot of the time.
Yeah.
The management, the decision makers are the ones that just deserve absolute bollockings non-stop because the where we are is on them. It is because players get injured, and I mean we haven't even touched on the sheer injury crisis level at the club. Yeah. Like it's just insane, and how that hasn't been addressed in season after season of just progressively getting worse. Like
I saw a video. I don't know if you saw the same one. I saw a video on Twitter of those kids warming up, the mascots warming up, and it was against Tottenham versus Newcastle. And there's a little kid with blonde hair and glasses, and Sky's caption is "Spurs injuries crisis is so bad that this is what this is their team." And that was 3 years ago. That was before even that was 3 years ago now. It's been going on for 3 years. This
it is, and it is the thing as well. It's gotten worse. Because it's felt bad for a long time. But you look at. It's not just the word; it's the level of time. Like the players are not coming back. Kulusevski, we were told it was a knock. I mean, I tweeted this last night. Isak broke his leg and his back this season.
Yeah, and Musiala did the same as well, didn't he?
Yeah, and the knock that he had. I mean, he's had 3 surgeries now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Lamella again. Like, he'll be back soon. He'll be back soon. He had double hip replacement for God's sake. There's just something fundamentally back-asswards going on with our medical department that I remember.
It's like everything, isn't it, mate? Which is why I'm convinced that we are the Truman Show.
You're not wrong. So that's it. That's where we'll land it. Billy, thank you so much for joining me this week, mate. I really
thank you, mate. I'd love to come on for some of those travel ones because I'm like you, mate. I'm trying to embrace the championship. So.
Well, let's hope that we don't have to do it. But if
maybe we could do it about Coventry instead.
yeah, exactly. Like, hey, Coventry, none of us have been there for a while. Yeah. It's actually a bloody good night, actually, Coventry.
Yeah, I know. I've been there. I'm from the Midlands myself. So,
well, there you go then. Yeah, no, Coventry's all right. But, all right, mate, look, thank you so much for coming on.
No, thank you, mate. It was a pleasure, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon, mate.
You take care. So that was Billy. Thank you so much to him for being on the show. A little admin. We will be back next week, hopefully, finally, talking about a victory. It's Brighton next, 6 games to go. We all just got to stay behind the team. But as Billy said earlier on, and it's true, it's hope now. It's a hope a lot more than expectation. We just really need, something to go our way, a little bit of luck, anything. Until next week, like always, you all take care.
Thank you for listening to the Spurs News Podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Stay up to date with all things Tottenham. Follow us on social media. All links are in the podcast description.